The second part of that linear and quadratic review sheet so we can finish it. Question 31, again piecewise. What happens if you only see a number, no variables? What is that going to look like? That is a horizontal line that goes through 4. But I only want to draw the horizontal line when it's less than or equal to -1. So I need to find where -1 is, and 4. Because there's a line underneath it, it's going to be solid. So at -1, 4, it's right there. And it's a horizontal line, but only to the left because it says less than. For -5 plus x, I'm going to start with -1, and I'm going to plug it in. So if I plug in -1 into the bottom piece, I get -6. I recognize that -1 and -6, it's a whole. Why is it a whole? Because it's just greater than. Now, to the right of -1, that's what it's going to look like. So what's the slope? Up 1 and over 1, and that's it. And you've drawn your piecewise. All right, enough on piecewise. 32. Determine the quadratic function whose graph is given. So if you're given a graph of a parabola, could you come up with its equation? So in order to start this, I'm going to start with A. So I'm going to start with this. This is considered the HK form of a parabola, or the transformational form of a parabola, where HK is the vertex, A is what gives it its stretch or reflection and so on. So in the question, I know the vertex is -1 and 4. So that means my h is -1. This is h. And my k is 4. I also know a point on there. The y-intercept is 0, 3. So I actually have an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate other than the vertex. So the y is going to be 3. I'm solving for a here. X is 0. H is -1, but there's a negative there already, so I have to change it to +1. And then k is 4. And I'm just going to solve for a. So to solve for a, 1 squared is 1, so this is 1a. Subtract 4, and a is equal to -1. So my equation then is -1, or just negative, x plus 1 squared plus 4. And I got it. Not too bad. Let's try this one. 33. So when I look here, I can see my vertex is at -2 and 1. I can see I know another point up here at 0, 5, so that the x-coordinate is 0 and the y is 5. So I'm going to start with my HK form of a parabola. I'm going to plug in and solve for a. Notice I changed it to plus because the negative and a negative makes it positive, and then solve it. So 2 squared is 4, so that's 4a. Subtract 1, divide, and a is equal to +1. So that means the equation would be 1, which I don't need, and then hk, which would be +2, and it's squared, and then k, which is 1. So it's just x plus 2 squared plus 1. And that matches that parabola. All right, next page. One more time. Feel free to pause and try it. Vertex is at 2, -3. The point, another point that I need to know, is at 0 and 1. I'm going to write y equals a, x minus h squared plus k. Substitute and solve for a. So 1, 0. Oops, that should be a -3. That's fine. So I'll simplify this. This is 4a, subtract 3, add 3, divide, and you can see a is equal to 1. Now put all, this is what we need now, is a, h, and k to write the equation. So a is 1, so I don't need it in front, so it's x minus 2 squared, subtract 3. Done. All right, some applications to finish with. A truck rental company rents a moving truck one day by charging $25 plus 9 cents per mile. Write a linear equation that relates the cost C in dollars of renting the truck to the number of X miles driven, and then use that to answer a question about it. So if I want to write a function, a linear function, where C is the cost and X is the miles, how are you being charged? You start with $25 plus how much per mile. And the word per means times, so it's 0.09 times x. So however many miles you have times 0.09, and then you add 25 to it. If I want to know after 230 miles, you plug in 230. You can use a calculator. So 0.09 times 230. So if you used a calculator, you get $45.70. So the cost of driving the truck 230 miles is $45.70. All right. Linda needs to have her car towed. Littletown Auto charges a flat fee of $70 plus $2 per mile. Write a function where C is the cost and X again is the miles. Let's do that. So there's my equation, C at X. So what's the equation I'll use? $70 plus how much per mile? $2 per mile. Then the question is, find the cost of having a car towed 11 miles. So just plug in 11. Shouldn't need a calculator for this. So 70 plus 22. And so what's the cost? So to tow a car 11 miles, it will cost $92. Beautiful. 37. A Marty's t-shirt company does jackets with embroidery of a dog. There are fixed costs of $670 to set up, and then variable costs where it's $30 per jacket. Writing an equation that can be used to determine the cost, that's the C of X, where X is the number of producing jackets. So to produce jackets, how much will it cost? So it's $670 to set up plus $30 per jacket, and X represents the number of jackets. Use the equation to find the total cost of producing 77. You can use a calculator if you want. So plug in 77, and you get the cost $2,980. So to produce 77 jackets, it will cost $2,980. All these questions always remind me of when someone says that they struggle at math, but they want to own their own business. That it's okay to struggle at math, but man, good math means good business. There's no doubt about it if you want to be your own boss. All right, 38. Last page. So the manufacturer of a CD player, whatever that is, has found that the revenue is that when the unit price is $P. If the manufacturer sets the price to maximize revenue, what is the maximum revenue? So this is a quadratic equation. And the word maximize means I'm finding the vertex. And to find the vertex, I'm going to go negative b over 2a. So if I want to directly find the vertex, that's the formula. In this case, b is 1970. A is negative 5. It looks like you need a calculator, but you don't because you're dividing by 10. So what should the price be per CD? And if the answer is $197. Then the question is find the maximum revenue, not the price per CD player. So to find the revenue, I have to go back with that number, $197 for the cost per CD player, and then plug that in. So $197. I would use a calculator, and that would be $194,045. So the maximum, it says, what is the maximum revenue? So the maximum revenue is $194,045 when the price per CD player is set at $197. Beautiful. Two more. The profit the vendor makes by selling pretzels is given by that function. Again, you can tell it's a quadratic. Find the number of pretzels that must be sold to maximize. So when I see that word, it means vertex. So to find that, it's negative b over 2a. So that's what I'm going to do. Plug in 2.4 for b plug in negative 0.004 for A, use your calculator or Desmos, and you'd find the answer is 300. So the number of pretzels that must be sold. So you must sell 300 pretzels. Notice I'm not looking for the profit, but I'm just looking for how many pretzels to sell to maximize. You must sell 300 pretzels to maximize profit. So be careful what you're reading to know what you're solving for. So in this case, you were solving for pretzels. That's X, not the profit. The question before, you were solving for revenue. So know if you have to do that extra step by being a good reader. Here we go. The owner of a video store. What the hey is that? A video store, like Blockbusters. Determine the cost, C, in dollars of operating is given by this equation. Again, can you tell it's a quadratic, where X is the number of videos rented daily. Crazy stuff. It's like the 90s. Find the lowest cost to the nearest dollar. So the word lowest, again, is another word for vertex. To find the vertex, it's negative b over 2a. So in this case, it's negative 22 negative divided by 2. So 22 over 4. Here's the challenge. You can't rent 5.5 videos. So X is the number of videos rented. So you either have to go up to 6 or down to 5. You have to go to a whole number. Now both will give you the same answer for the lowest cost. So plug either one in, and because it's a parabola and symmetric, around 5.5, both will give you the same answer, but don't plug in 5.5. Why? Because you can't rent half a video. So whole numbers, 5 or 6, give you the same answer. Plug it back in, because that's what I'm looking for, is the lowest cost, not the number of videos rented. And use your calculator if you like. And that's $620. So the lowest cost is $620. And that's good. I don't need anything better. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for doing your work. Mr. G Math over and out. And until next time, proud of you.